Welcome to the Fair Housing Insiders. We are so thankful that you joined us. And please remember to subscribe here on our YouTube channel or follow and like us on your favorite social media outlet, which you can find links to in our show notes for even more fair housing news and insights. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fair Housing Insiders, episode 89. Today, we are focusing on part 2 of our series on protected classes. Today's topic is religion. I'm your host, Jonathan Saar, and we are joined today by Kathi Williams. And we look forward, Kathi, to your insight on this topic. So, let's look at a scenario just for a moment to kind of set the stage for what we're discussing. Then we'll get into some questions and get your feedback on it.
The closest meeting house is just around the corner, and the nearest temple is only 5 miles away.
Thanks for that information, but we're not Mormon.
Oh, you're not?
No, we are actually not religious at all. My wife would say that we are atheist, but I'm not sure if I'd go that far.
Well, you know that all of the people who live here are practicing members of the LDS Church, so maybe you'd be uncomfortable with a bunch of religious neighbors.
So our first question for you, and thank you again, Kathi, for being with us today. So we have sections in this country that have higher concentrations of certain religious groups. Is there such a thing as discrimination towards people who aren't religious?
And the easy answer to that, Jonathan, is absolutely. The Fair Housing Act protects all applicants and residents from discrimination due to their religion or their lack of religion. And that protection applies to all housing providers, regardless of the type of housing it is, or even whether the housing provider has a specific religious affiliation. So in the scenario that we just saw, you saw the leasing agent bringing up religion and mentioning that there was a predominance of one certain religion in that housing situation, and then questioning whether the resident or the applicants are going to be comfortable if they're not Mormon. That clearly was a violation of the Fair Housing Act and actually discriminated by discouraging those applicants from living at that property.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your feedback. So another interesting question for you. So the news has just been full of following the war that's going on in the Middle East. As a result of that, we've seen here in this country a surge of violence and discrimination towards Jews and Muslims. So since this is such a divisive issue, is property management expected to choose a side?
Well, no, because it's not about choosing a side of any particular political question. What it is, though, is all housing providers have an obligation to reject all harassment by one resident against another. And that also applies to harassment based on one resident's religion. So if there are residents that are harassing other residents or discouraging people from living in a particular community because of their religion, if the housing provider finds out about that harassment, they have a legal obligation to take prompt and effective steps to make that harassment stopped. And if they don't do that, then the housing provider takes on its own legal liability for that harassment. Therefore, it is absolutely essential for housing providers, if they find out about that kind of activity, to take action to make it end.
Very good. Thank you so much, Kathi. Appreciate your insights. A little bit of a deeper dive from a different perspective on this topic of protected classes as we talk about religion today. So thank you for being here. This has been episode 89. We appreciate everyone for joining us. Thank you to our fair housing community. Until next time, take care, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we can't wait to hear your feedback about today's episode. Do you have a topic that you would like to see discussed in a future episode? Feel free to share that with us. In the show notes, you'll see a link to sign up for our newsletter. This newsletter will keep you up to date with our latest episodes, blogs, and information about our online fair housing courses. Thank you again, and happy training.